This theme is task design and development and the involvement of knowledgeable others. Our presenters are Jessica Bayada, Charles Micallef, Ilenia Camilleri, and Diane Calleja. Jessica, Charles, Ilenia, and Diane will take us through their task designs and lesson study. Within their leading role, they will also highlight their choices of involving knowledgeable others and their key contributions to task design and development. So I welcome Jessica first as our first presenter. You can share,
Thank you.
Jessica.
I will share my PowerPoint. So. Okay. So, hello everyone, I'm Jessica, and recently I led a mathematics lesson study at the state secondary school where I currently work. Today I'm excited to share how we designed and developed the task for our research lesson, which we titled Investigating the Hexagon, and which is centered around discovery and exploration. So first of all, to put you in the context, when I came to form the group, I had in mind a diverse and an experienced team. So the team I formed comprised of 4 mathematics teachers, including myself as the leader, and the head of our mathematics department, as I wanted my team to be complemented by a member from our school's senior leadership team. During this process, we also kept informed and got some feedback from a learning support educator assigned with a student in the class we chose. And we also sought the support of a teacher educator from the University of Malta. Most team members, including the head of department, had extensive experience in lesson studies, except one of us, who was not familiar with the process as he never participated in a lesson study. I must say that given my relatively limited experience compared to the rest of the team, stepping into a leadership position was exciting, but it was also challenging. At first, it was quite intimidating as the members could easily draw comparisons with the other lesson study experiences they had, but it still provided an opportunity for self-reflection. We met on a weekly basis, and through our collaborative discussions, we identified several challenges we meet in our practice, and even students' learning areas that need attention. We discussed how our students possess an abundance of mathematical knowledge, but yet they lack the effective skills to utilize that knowledge proficiently. Indeed, our students frequently exhibit a tunnel-visioned approach when they have to tackle problems which are embedded in unfamiliar contexts, and they continue relying on rote memorization and the teacher's direct instructions. So to address these, we decided and agreed that the aim of our lesson will be that of developing the conceptual understanding of students by designing the lesson and the tasks where they have to leverage their prior knowledge and through making the mathematical connections succeed with learning new concepts. We selected a Year 10 Level 3 class, which is the highest level in terms of content difficulty. And following an examination of our syllabus, it was determined that our focus would be on the shape, space, and measure strand, as it provides ample opportunities for our students to establish connections. We did some research, and once we gathered some tasks and problems, we chose the problem-solving task that you can see in the pictures. So our initial task was centered on a hexagon with 6 equal shaded sectors at its vertices. Now, recognizing the diverse abilities within the class, we thought it would be best to differentiate it, to cater to all the learners. And to achieve this, we developed 2 types of support materials: a hint card to provide a step-by-step guidance, and an extension card for those students who are ready to explore further. We were not satisfied with this initial task, because in our opinion, it was still an exam-style question. So we decided to transform it into an open investigation by giving our students just the hexagon cutout and let them explore it. Of course, this open-ended nature of discovery learning poses a significant challenge for us teachers, as we are required to relinquish control over the lesson's direction and instead entrust our students with the autonomy to pursue their own investigations. So to be well prepared, we had to think about how to introduce the investigation process in order to balance the freedom of active exploration as well as the need of guidance, since we knew that the class we chose were not accustomed to do open investigations. They never experienced the self-directed learning opportunities. So as we were doing our research, we found that the 5E inquiry-based model would be adequate to use, both as a tool for designing and planning, as well as to introduce this framework to our students to serve them as a roadmap. We wanted to help students progress gradually through the 5E phases, and we've structured the lesson to begin with individual brainstorming, where students will record their initial observations on a mind map, followed by a collaborative work, where each group will devise a plan outlining how they investigated the specific chosen feature of this hexagon. At the same time, to keep the open-endedness of the investigation, we dedicated a significant amount of time in anticipating potential scenarios and as well in developing appropriate questioning strategies. There were many what-if questions, like what if students are initially overwhelmed by the open-ended nature? Or what if students will focus on the same aspect? Will this render our lesson a waste of time? So it wasn't easy to predict the potential outcomes of students, as there were endless possibilities and ways of discovering this hexagon. But during our meetings, we foresaw and we discussed 8 different scenarios, ranging from focusing on angles, area, perimeter, trigonometry, as well as we considered the possibility of having students who might struggle to choose a feature to discover, to focus on. Not only this, but each scenario presented intricate connections between topics. And this, of course, added complexity to our preparation of the task. It was difficult to predict how students are going to respond to the open investigation and what will come to their minds. But thanks to the collaborative planning, we managed to anticipate and discuss what the students' thought processes and what their reactions might be. This, in turn, helped boost the confidence of the teacher to deliver the lesson, as she felt more prepared to give students agentic spaces during the lesson. As we wanted them to develop and to adopt a deductive mindset and focus on the process rather than seeking a definitive answer, we prepared several open prompts to encourage their critical thinking. And this also required that the teacher is not only very well prepared, but flexible and ready to follow the students' exploration. It was challenging, but we found a lot of support from our head of department. And the fact that she taught this class last year helped us gain essential insights into the students' learning styles and needs. Also, her expertise in pedagogy helped us ensure the open-ended nature of the investigation throughout the planning of the activities and as well the questioning. And apart from this, we also sought feedback from an external expert specialized in mathematics education, whose feedback and suggestions helped us refine the timing allocated to the group work as well as to the class discussion. So it was by engaging in this reflective process together with the provided support from our knowledgeable others that we were able to generate not only a detailed lesson, but also to try and go for this alternative approach and fulfill our goal of designing a lesson that deviates away from our traditional strategies and give our students an innovative learning experience. Apart from the valuable support we received from our knowledgeable others, there were various factors that contributed to the successful transformation of our initial close problem. Above all, the existing culture of trust within the team, along with the members' collaborative efforts and collective experience, for sure facilitated the critical examination of the initial task. Also, the fact that the members already knew what a lesson study entails and how the focus is not on evaluating the teacher, but it is all about addressing our identified concern, it ensured that the criticism shared is done in a constructive manner. We felt comfortable to criticize our own work and to challenge each other to continue refining the task. As the leader, what truly impressed me was the team's readiness and willingness to improve their practices and as well to take risks, which of course, in turn, it stimulated me to, yes, advocate for an open investigation. We still had some initial reservations, but despite this, the team continuously motivated and supported each other to step beyond our comfort zones. So yes, for us, this lesson study was a truly enriching experience, as it allowed us to plan a lesson that on our own, it would have been much more challenging to design and as well to deliver. So the collaborative efforts surpassed what we could have achieved individually. It also made us reflect on how, as teachers, we tend to sometimes impose limitations on our students' learning, as we hesitate maybe to challenge them or as well to take the initiative to try out new teaching methods. So to conclude, I would like to thank all those who supported this lesson study and as well offered a helping hand, because this experience was for sure a stepping stone for me to gradually assume a leadership role. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jessica.
Thank you.
If you have any questions for Jessica, you can start writing them in the Q&A, maybe later on after we see all the four presenters in this team. We'll have a go and see the questions that you pose for our four presenters. Now we move on to Charles. So we welcome Charles to do his presentation.
So, hello, my name is Charles, and in this PowerPoint presentation, I am going to share our team's experience in conducting lesson study in our school during the past weeks. The aim of this PowerPoint presentation shall be to focus on the design and the development of the task we use for the research lesson, and also on the important role of the knowledgeable others in the planning phase of this research lesson. I will begin by presenting the context in which our lesson study was carried out. So the lesson study team was composed of 3 mathematics teachers, including myself as the leader, and 2 other highly experienced and very resourceful mathematics teachers. We had the opportunity to work also with the classroom learning support educator. She gave us very insightful feedback, not just on the design of the task itself, but also when it comes to grouping students for collaborative work. Given that she spends the entire day in class, she has very good knowledge of the students of the class we chose, and she could help when it comes to the group formations because she has knowledge about the interrelationships between our students. The school we also had the opportunity to work with 2 knowledgeable others. The first one was Ms. Dorian, our head of department. She has a teaching load in our college, so she acted also as an SLT member. And we also had the opportunity to work with another knowledgeable other, Dr. James Calleja, who is, as you know, a teacher educator specialized in mathematics education. And the advantage that we had these two experts with us was that they are both experienced mathematics teachers who have led lesson studies before. So their contributions to our group were very much valued because these were backed up by their own teaching experiences. Also, the fact that they have led lesson studies before enabled them to share with us feedback from other groups of local teachers who conducted lesson study in local schools. As I was going to say, our school context is a state secondary school, and this was our first experience for us conducting lesson study. Despite it being our first experience with lesson study, the group worked really well. We were very committed, we met weekly, and all the members gave a lot of input when it comes to the planning of the research lesson. Our chosen class was a Year 9 mixed ability class that follows the level 2 to 3 syllabus. And to explain the local context, the level 2 to 3 syllabus is in the middle when it comes to the level of difficulty of the mathematical content we teach. So the team's initial idea for the task. The team's initial idea was to improve our students' learning experience when it comes to the topic of linear equations in the algebra strand. So this is a topic that the students normally struggle with, especially when it comes to forming linear equations from word problems or real-life scenarios. So through this lesson study, we aimed to make a shift in our teaching pedagogy to result in better student learning. So on reflecting as a group on our practices, we came to realize that we tend to teach this topic more through transmission, and we tend to focus a lot on giving our students algorithms and methods on how to solve equations. In the end, we noted that our students tend to be passive in receivers of knowledge and algorithms, and they weren't being active learners. Also, the fact that we teach this topic in isolation and keep problems till the very end of the topic made us start from the abstract concepts, knowing that students struggle with such abstract concepts. So there was a bit of a dilemma because we know that students struggle with abstract concepts, yet we chose to start from such abstract concepts. So through this lesson study, we aimed to make a shift and aim to teach this topic through problem solving. I am trying to go back. Now, through this teaching methodology of using problem solving, we aim to have our students being active learners that engage in collaborative work, and instead of focusing on the methods that we give them, we let the students derive the methods themselves and make the links so as to be able to form a conceptual understanding of such algebraic concepts. So through this lesson study, we also aimed to teach topics in an integrated manner. So we aimed to plan a task that connects the topic of equations to other topics. One of our teachers pointed out at the initial stage of task design, that our students are very familiar from primary schooling with arithmetic concepts, and yet we do not make best use of these skills that we have to help them make the link between arithmetic concepts they are familiar with and algebraic concepts that we teach them in secondary schooling. Now, with these ideas and aims in mind, we identified 3 possible problem-solving tasks, which in our opinion have the potential to target the aims that I have shared with you in the previous slides. Through the help of our head of department, we engaged in discussions on which of these 3 tasks is best to use in the research lesson. In our discussions, we made use of a set of criteria to choose the task, like which of these tasks addresses our identified concerns. We compared each of the 3 tasks with respect to its level of difficulty as compared to our own class, our scenario, our context. We discussed which of the 3 tasks promote more space for discussion and collaboration. And we identified which of the three tasks bridges most the gap between the arithmetic concepts that students are familiar with and the algebraic concepts that we wanted them to learn. Eventually, we chose this task, achieving concert tickets, and this task connected the topics of equations, percentages, and proportion. So this task, another positive element of this task was that it revolved around the current team because Ed Sheeran is really coming to perform in Malta. So the fact that this was revolving around the current team, we thought that it would stimulate more thinking and arouse more interest in our students. One particular challenge that, as a leader, I faced in this phase of task design was to not let my personal knowledge of the class and not letting the team members' personal knowledge of lower stream classes to hold us back from choosing a challenging task to our students. So as a group, we tried to come up with, yes, a challenging task that through which the students could learn algebraic abstract concepts and connect different topics. Now, with the problem-solving task at hand, the team started planning the research lesson, and we made use of Polya's problem-solving heuristic as a theoretical framework for our lesson. So, in fact, we tried to make sure that the students engage in every phase of this problem-solving heuristic in the various phases of the lesson, starting off with a whole class discussion to help them understand the problem, then allowing them to engage in collaborative work where they devise and carry out the plan. And finally, through their presentations and in a rehash phase, they will have the opportunity to look back through the process and learn new mathematical content and acquire these abstract concepts from this experience. Given that our students are not accustomed to work with such a problem-solving heuristic, as the class teacher, I felt the need to prepare my students to be able to use this heuristic. So amongst others, I explained to the students what is expected of them in the various phases. I explained what I was expecting of them from engaging in collaborative work. I also explained that the process is by far more important than arriving to some kind of solution. And I also explained to the students the importance of articulating their reasoning in the form of writing, as this would help them to share their thinking and make their thinking visible, both to us teachers, so that we can learn from their way of reasoning, and also to share their work with the rest of the class. So together with both knowledgeable others, the team planned each phase of the research lesson. For the understanding the problem phase, we engaged in lengthy discussions with our head of department on what visual aids are best to use to help the students understand the problem. And then we decided to use a pie chart to help the students learn proportion and to integrate another topic, statistics. We also try to anticipate some misconceptions that the students might have in this phase of the lesson, and we planned questioning accordingly. Similarly, for the collaborative work, we planned resources, and although difficult, we try to anticipate difficulties that the students might encounter whilst working collaboratively, difficulties related to mathematical content, and we devised possible interventions. For the final phase of looking back, where the students carried out the presentations and we had a whole class discussion, as a team, we tried to bring out any links that we could use from the students' methods themselves, and what mathematical content could be learned from such links. The role of knowledgeable others in this elaborate process was very, very important. In fact, as a leader, I sought external support from experts, both of them, as I felt that as a team, we needed an external push to widen our horizons. In fact, both experts helped the team to explore various possibilities whilst planning, and they also supported the team to engage in an inquiry-based approach. Why? Because many times in our meetings, our head of department used to refrain from giving us solutions and clear-cut strategies, and instead she would pose questions, give us various perspectives, and then it would be left in our capacity to discuss and come up to a solution ourselves. And I believe that this nurtured our reflective process. This nurtured our reflective process so much that following our meetings with our head of department, we would end up continue with further discussions in our staff room between us mathematics teachers. Undoubtedly, this lesson study was an enriching experience for us both as a whole team of mathematics teachers, and also for my role as a leader of lesson study. So first of all, we could all realize as a team that by collaboratively planning the research lesson, it resulted in a more well-planned, fine-tuned lesson as compared to the usual lessons that we plan individually. So planning a lesson on our own would have never resulted in such a lesson plan, and more importantly, to take into account all the various factors that we took into account, like possible interventions, detailed questioning, careful planning of resources, and whatnot. As a lesson study leader, I learned how to support and motivate the group members and to motivate them to believe, yes, in their capacity to achieve the goals and achieve our intended outcomes. And I believe that this was very important, particularly when some members felt doubtful that, yes, such a task could be done with a level 2 to 3 class. So as a leader, I felt the need to continue encouraging my team of teachers to continue believing in the idea and, yes, to implement it and support them along the way. Finally, another learning experience that I had as a leader was to acknowledge more that when merging the various ideas that different team members have, we can create more innovative strategies. So when merging the ideas put forward by the different members, you can create something which, yes, we normally wouldn't do, because as I've said previously, we were more accustomed to teach through transmission. Okay, so in conclusion, I would like to sincerely thank all the lesson study team members and both knowledgeable others for their support and input, because without them, this lesson study wouldn't have been such an enriching learning experience for us all. And also, I would like to thank you for your attention throughout this presentation.
Well done, Charles, and thank you for such an interesting presentation. Now we move on to Ilenia Camilleri to present us her lesson study.
Thank you, Ms. Formosa. My name is Ilenia Camilleri. I am a teacher in a primary church school. During this time, I'm going to talk about my experience of being part of a lesson study research group. I will be sharing my insights as a lesson study leader and how, as a team, we were able to design and develop a reading comprehension lesson for grade 3 pupils with a focus on vocabulary learning. So these are the members of the team. All members gave their input in the lesson study process. However, in this presentation, I'm going to focus on the role of the knowledgeable other, Dr. Fiona Gallia. Dr. Gallia is an HOD with the Secretariat for Catholic Education, specialized in early years. I have had numerous opportunities in the past where I collaborated with her, and I wanted her to be part of the team. So, after identifying the main focus of the lesson, we moved on to task design and development, which involved the team members collaboratively planning a lesson. This is the time where everyone gets the opportunity to share their knowledge and expertise with others. So this phase involved identifying learning objectives, identification of case pupils, selecting tasks, keeping in mind the objectives of the lesson, pupil strengths and weaknesses, teaching resources available, and also time management, anticipating students' thinking, and revising and improving the lesson. But this is also the stage where, through the process of collaboratively planning and developing a lesson, teachers gain access to knowledge and expertise that is difficult to articulate. In the context of the lesson study, the image of the iceberg implies that teachers do not only possess conscious, explicit knowledge, but of educational theory, teaching methods and subject matter, but also unconscious tacit knowledge that shapes their educational practices. This tacit knowledge includes aspects that are not easily verbalized or consciously explained. So the knowledgeable other played a key role here. Her tacit knowledge is made visible and accessible as she engages in rich discussions, providing guidance and support. As we engage in discussion and reflection, as we review the tasks for accuracy, alignment with learning goals, and suitability for target students, thus reflecting on the rationale behind certain decisions we take, such as the choice of a particular video or asking specific questions. And also, as we are encouraged to engage in our own reflective practice, thus uncovering our own tacit knowledge. The feedback gathered from the knowledgeable other also contributed to planning and developing the first research lesson, to changes and improvement in the research lesson following the debriefing, which, amongst others, led to more student engagement, a smoother transition from one task to the other, and better time management. So, in an effort to preserve its authenticity, I am going to read this reflection by the knowledgeable other. Collaborating with fellow professionals in the planning of identical lessons presents a unique learning opportunity, fostering an exchange of ideas and insights that transcend individual teaching experiences. The collective expertise often yields innovative perspectives that may not have been considered even by seasoned educators. And finally, I would like to conclude this presentation with my own reflection. Lesson study is a professional development that allows access to teachers' tacit knowledge, to be reflective and open to learn from others' knowledge and expertise, and to put this learning into practice. From my end, that's all. I would like to thank Dr. Calleja and Ms. Laura Formosa, and also thank everyone for listening.
Thank you very much, Elenia. We would like to invite Diane now, the final speaker for this team, Diane Calleja.
Hello, good morning. Just a second so I can start the presentation. Okay, so today I would like to talk to you about the role of knowledgeable other in lesson study team. In the picture there, from left to right, is my team. The first two, Ms. Magro and Ms. Bartolo, are two physics teachers like me. And next to us, there's our head of school, who also served as the knowledgeable other in our lesson study team. Building up a team in a lesson study was for me the hardest thing to do. because in my school, the idea of lesson study as a professional development was quite new. And I really wished to work with colleagues of my subjects. So I invited all the physics teachers with an email. I had, to be fair, a backup plan with other teachers of who teach different subjects, but I was approached by 2 of my colleagues, and we held our first meeting. Initially, they were very excited to learn more about this, and they were asking me a lot of questions. So in the first week, we ended up meeting more than once, and in every second that we got, we started to converse. But as soon as we started to discuss what we're going to do, I told them that if we could have a knowledgeable other, it would serve us good, because after reading some research on after reading some literature on lesson study, we found out that having a knowledgeable other in our team could fit the way we plan and the way we do things. And we had a couple of options. First of all, we discussed having the education officer with us, but we rarely see her, so my team was not comfortable with having her. And also our HOD, who happens to be in our college, but not directly in our school. So we immediately looked at our head of school, who was a former physics teacher, a former HOD of physics in our school, and he also served as the physics educational officer for a couple of years. He was also director for the curriculum. So we had someone who is present in our school with all this expertise, and we were very excited to have him on the team. When we approached him, he immediately said yes. So we set off working with him. The key characteristics of a knowledgeable other can be put into four groups. A knowledgeable other should have subject matter expertise. As I already mentioned, Mr. Bugeya has been working in the physics department for a very long time. So as regards expertise, we couldn't have asked for a better person. Being the educational officer and a former HOD, he had met many teachers. Sorry? Sorry? Laura, problema?
Dajen, naħseb tista' tkompli, naħseb xi ħadd ma kienx muted ta'.
Okay, sorry. Okay. As I was saying, the fact that he has seen and observed many teachers teaching and has had so many meaningful conversations with different teachers, his pedagogical knowledge was very vast, and also his experience in effective teaching strategies. But most importantly, out of those, I feel that being open to collaboration is a very important characteristic of a knowledgeable other, because together with him, the team was more united, and everyone was feeling very, very comfortable working in the team. In the morning when we met during a Thursday first lesson. In the morning we came, brought coffee, started immediately talking, starting immediately working on the lesson study. And that was for us very important. Our knowledgeable other contributed in various factors in this lesson study. We wanted him, first of all, to be present in all meetings. However, that was not possible, being the head of school. He was sometimes engaged into something else. However, during those times, we met anyway, and we prepared materials. We sent him emails with our materials. He immediately sent us feedback, highlighted what he thought we could improve. But most importantly, and what we appreciated most, was that he never imposed, and he was always very positive in his feedback. He offered us solutions to our difficulties, and also he learned new things with us, and that was very nice for us, because even though we have only a fraction of his experience, we were discovering new material, and we did that together. And so it was a learning opportunity even for him as well. I appreciated, and my team appreciated, the practical solutions that someone in the senior leadership team can offer. For example, we were concerned that we had a lot prepared for a 40-minute lesson. So Mr. Bujaya suggested that the students come during the break and we prepare some food and drinks for them so they can start the lesson a bit earlier and we could have a block of 45 minutes of lesson time. So the students were enjoying it, and after a small 20-minute part, the students were calm, ready for the lesson. It started without any problems. So that was a practical solution that I, as a teacher, would not have thought about it, but having his background, that was something practical that he could give. Finally, in conclusion, there are, I feel, 3 main advantages of having a knowledgeable other in a lesson study team. The knowledgeable other enhances the professional growth of the team, can help with improved teaching practices, and strengthening collegial relationships. I feel that with my colleagues now, we started something different, something new. They are already talking about trying another one, even though they are fully aware of the amount of work that it entails. The fact that in our case, the knowledgeable other happens to be a member of the SLT was beneficial for the study unit of the lesson study, as we discussed, and it has the benefit that the practice can be sustained in the future because we know that it is supported. So next time that teachers from my school would like to do a lesson study, we know that the SLT in our school is going to support it, and that is of peace of mind to the teachers, and also it helps us to continue grow into professionals. Thank you.
Well done, all of you. Well done, Jessica, Charles, Elenia, and Diane. I think you've given us a lot of great insights into your experience and knowledge of now leading lesson study. I invite maybe a couple of questions directed to you, focused on this theme, which is task design and development and the role of knowledgeable others. So please feel free to maybe pose a question or two to our presenters. I think we had, yes, if there's anyone who would like to intervene. I think we had one from Randolph who was asking, who would like to ask a question on power symmetry, but I don't really understand, Randolph. If you'd like to put a question forward.
Hello.
Hi, Randolph.
Hello. Hello. Good morning, everyone. I'm really interested in this subject. The way I view lesson study is that it allows teachers to choose their own trajectory for their own professional development, and I think this came out really nicely. But I also think that this should be done in a collaborative manner, especially built on a dialogic approach, which, in my opinion, the way I view this kind of approach is built on power symmetry, where all members have got pressopoco the same amount of power, not somebody who is imposing something on somebody else, either in an implicit way or maybe also in a tacit way. I would like to ask the participants, the presenters, what their reflection on the power symmetry that they felt that there was in the group, especially since there was the presence of either an SLT member or a more knowledgeable other. Because whenever I tried lesson studies, and I have conducted a few lesson studies in my school, it seems to me that when there is a more knowledgeable other, teachers tend to turn to this more knowledgeable other and seek his advice or her advice and almost follow it blindly. So I would like to hear the reflections on this.
Thanks, Randolph. I think it's a really important question that you're posing. I'm not sure whether Charles or Jessica or any other, Elenia.
What I was going to say was, first of all, it depends. In our case, the knowledgeable others we chose for our lesson study were invited, so we felt comfortable to receive feedback and to challenge their ideas. But as I said, for example, our head of department never gave us any clear-cut strategies or like recipes to follow during the planning phase. It was more like they give you insights to think about, and maybe they post questions or they post problems regarding the planning of the research lesson. But then it's up to the team to continue to discuss and to continue to evaluate the proposed strategies. So we never felt pressured in their presence that we have to conform to their ideas. In our case, as I've said, the fact that both knowledgeable others have led lesson studies before, their contributions were kind of based on their own experiences and the experiences of other teachers. But as I said, then it was up to us to evaluate their feedback and see whether their strategies and their feedback, I mean, could be implemented in our context.
Thanks, Charles. I think you've put forward a very important insight, because I think as a knowledgeable other, you need to be aware that you might not really know the context. So rather than giving solutions, you just give a suggestion in the form of a prompt, in the form of a question, in the form of an idea, which is, or which needs to be challenged by the lesson study team. I think in our context, where we're not used to this kind of approach, we might end up, having knowledgeable others, as Randolph mentioned, who try to sort of not impose, but, give an idea, and the team would, really feel that they would need to take that idea on. So as you mentioned, Charles, I think, yes, it's also, we need to also be clear about the role of the knowledgeable other in providing suggestions or contributions to the team. Thanks for that. Any other question, maybe?
James, if I may add,
Yes.
When I was leading the lesson study, I gave options to my team as to who they would be comfortable with having as a knowledgeable other. And even though I would have been very comfortable with our current TO, the others were not. And so that was not chosen. The fact that the knowledgeable other is a known member of the school helped a lot, because as I said, he never imposed at all. But then we even challenged him. For example, in a particular thing we were preparing, he said, I think that the students, he said, this is too difficult for them. And we said, but what if we try? And we did a backup plan. If we tried and it didn't work, we'll go with the way he was suggested. If it works and the students could handle it, we'd go as to how we suggested. And it turns up that the students could handle it, and he was happy for us. So we never felt that we need to, just follow. We were a team. Everyone was contributing fully to the team.
Thanks, Diane. We'll take the final question from Stephen Manins, who will be closing our seminar later on. So Stephen is asking, I think you can ask this directly, Stephen. You can go ahead.
Is it working? You hear me?
Yes.
Okay. One of the things I'm thinking about, should the facilitator and the knowledgeable other always be different persons, or could be it one person who has the two types of things working out in a lesson study? And why? Why should it be different persons or one person? What is then needed?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what you're saying, Stephen, is should the facilitator also act as a knowledgeable other, or
or vice versa?
Or vice versa, yeah. What do you think from your experience? I think in their experience, they're quite novice to leading lesson study. So I'm not sure, Charles, Jessica, also the rest, whether you feel that you could also take the role of knowledgeable other when you're leading a lesson study.
I think if the knowledgeable other and the facilitator are different persons, then you have different perspectives. So there is an opportunity of more reflection, more ideas. So I felt comfortable with having a knowledgeable other rather than being myself the knowledgeable other. As well, I was one of the least experienced from the members. So I think experience is also an additional asset to a knowledgeable other.
Yet maybe it could be, Stephen, that if you're both leading a lesson study and acting as a knowledgeable other, I think it could be more about you rather than the team at times, and maybe teachers could feel that, because I was at least once or twice in that position where I had to act as a knowledgeable other while I was facilitating and leading. So then you'd reflect and say, is this about me? More than it is about the team.